And all right, we are recording. We are at the Healing Mastery Summit, and I'm here with Troy Casey. Thank you, Troy, for joining us at the Healing Mastery Summit. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
All right, so those that don't know Troy has a big following on Instagram, the Certified Health Nut. He's a bio-leading longevity authority and certified health nut. Which means that you've been doing this for a long time. You live this, you take this seriously, and I follow you, and that's what I see, and that's why I wanted to bring you on here, because you lived a life, and so you help people restore physically, mentally, emotionally, and balance clients who have failed with all other systems. You have to take a unique approach, a nature-based approach, which is why I want to speak to you today. You have been doing this for over 28 years. When you studied nutrition, when you started out as a model, Versace model in Milan, studying herbs, internal purification to look and feel great on camera. And you've been all over the earth, working with the indigenous tribes in Amazon as a medicine hunter. You work with Paul Chek closely. You've done, I mean, the list goes on, meditation technique, Ashtanga, and so you're coming out with a book, Ripped at 50, and you just finished up your retreat at the Rhythmia, which we were just talking about. And so, yeah, welcome and awesome. And we'd love to hear about that trip. It sounded like it was profound.
Yeah, it was my 5th ayahuasca retreat. I did 4 others in the Amazon, and I've drank medicine up in North America once or twice, but mainly I like to do it far away from the city centers. I feel I can go deeper. Right. And I went to Rhythmia, which is a high-end resort. Been going to the Amazon for many years, and of course, you know, the medicine is extremely powerful, but it's nice to have your creature comforts. We had, ozone colonics. We had massage, hot and cold tubs. Farm to table organic food where you don't have to investigate what kind of food you're ingesting, breath work, and then of course powerful ayahuasca ceremonies with really, really good shaman and many helpers. There was about 70 people in the room I was in, and there was at least 15 helpers.
Cool, man. That sounds like an amazing place to go to.
Yeah, I went deep, and I brought my ex-wife to work on a few things, and we decided to get married, remarried again while I was down there. So deep healing happened for me.
Cool. So this is actually a beautiful topic, because I don't think we have anybody on here. Like I've interviewed a lot of people who've done, the psychedelic work, and in this summit, we don't really have anybody. So based on your background, what is it about psychedelics that really stimulate the healing process, or whatever you want to call it, make you whole again or harmonize? What is that? What does it do to you, for those especially who have never done it?
Well, ultimately, it's going to lower the barriers of perception or lift the veil of illusion. So perfect example is like, you live in New York City, you've got sirens going on, you've got all sorts of street noise. Your mind filters that out so you can pay attention to what, is most important in front of you. And so there's many aspects of those filters that kick in through our conditioning, through our upbringing, our schooling. And so the psychedelics dissolve those barriers. And we can see more clearly that we are all connected. We are all connected to the earth, that we're all one. Ayahuasca in particular is going to penetrate the liver, the gallbladder, the intestines. It's going to ultimately, cleanse the organs, cleanse the blood, but more importantly, it's going to go through the nervous system where we hold our beliefs. And so, and a lot of the healing can take place on the astral plane, because we are ultimately condensed energy into matter, E = mc squared. And then before the energy gets coalesced, it is, thought, idea, it's an energetic thought form, if you will. Right. And so you can go up above, or word around the campfire is you can go above the frequency and density of matter and do the healing in the astral plane. And I experienced that, 10 times over, especially on this last trip. I had psychic surgery done on me.
Wow. So is this you basically, would you say, did you leave your body? Did you feel yourself leave your body, or were you just connected on a different level? You felt the like, for those that are listening, like the astral plane, are you talking about we're in the physical world and basically you kind of leave that and that's where the healing occurs?
Well, there's an element of that. And so, and I don't know how adept I am at explaining it. And not to mention, I'm still processing a lot of my recent experience.
I bet. I can
So
bet.
let me see if I can, let me see if I can map this out here.
Yeah.
So ultimately, we are condensed matter, or I like to say philosophically, everything is from the mind of God. Everything that we see in the physical realm was first an idea in the mind of man, which is ultimately in the mind of God.
Right.
Without going too philosophical, but the tables, the chairs, the computers that we're all using, this was an idea first, and then it crystallized into the material realm. And so the shamans talk about, going into the astral plane and doing your healing from there. I could feel, I had a varicose vein taken out of my leg, and I could feel like laser beams going into my hip and then going down and traveling down my leg. Now, is this a hallucination? Is this, or were the veils lifted so I could actually see and feel this type of energetic healing?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm 3 days back from my vacation, and I'm still processing a lot of this.
Oh, I bet.
And again, this is about my 40th, ayahuasca ceremony.
Yeah.
And so the bottom line is that, let me just explain from a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual standpoint, going down there to work things out with my wife, who was interested in getting back together with me. We have a lot of responsibilities. We have children. I have business. I have my purpose that I'm really focused on right now.
Right.
Our life has changed being 2 years divorced. And so I didn't want to just jump into it willy-nilly, start having sex, getting intertwined emotionally, go back to our old patterns, etc.
Right.
So I went down there with the idea of like, let's hash it out, get a contract, figure out what you want, what I need, what your desires, goals, expectations, your fears are. But the fact of the matter is, as soon as we started drinking medicine and we started connecting deeper, the conversation didn't even really need to be had. Then I had an internal conversation about myself and all the things I might have done wrong in the past, what I can do better, how I can show up as a man inside the relationship in the modern world in 2019. I'm also taking a very deep look at my pornography usage since I was 13. It wasn't like I had a heavy addiction, just 60 to 90 seconds a day. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, it wasn't like I was glued to it and I couldn't live without it. Excuse me, but I used it over many years, and I see that the psychology was playing out. I'm not a big womanizer, but I do like women, and I oogle them and look at them constantly, which is a huge energy drain on me. I also realized, that being with a woman, being with anyone is a sacred, this is a sacred experience, all of it.
Yeah.
And, I have masculine energies, she has feminine energies, and this is the dance of life. These are the two forces we're constantly dancing with. So instead of fighting this person, how can I honor this person? How can I make this whole relationship sacred? And how can I show up on another level that eliminates half the pitfalls that we fell into in the first place?
Right.
And so I was able to forgive myself. I was able to make higher commitments to myself, make a higher commitment to show up for my wife. And when you have this extremely powerful, intelligent medicine known as ayahuasca traveling through you, you're making cosmic contracts. And so during the whole ceremony, when we got married down there, I was basically crying for 30 minutes, really just, letting it out. It was
Yeah.
so healing and such a process. And now I treat my relationship, completely different. And, that's still got to stick, right? I've got 30 years of psychological development and looking at myself and being honest with myself and healing different aspects of myself and looking at my childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And so, but that has to stick out into the real world. But I will let you know that Dr. Jeff is the medical director down there. He came from in Malibu. He was there for years. Place insurance funded. It's about $90,000 a month to get off opiates or alcohol or any kind
Troy,
of
you cut out the last sentence there. Where did you say he came from? The doctor?
Dr. Jeff came from Passages in Malibu. And
Passages. Okay.
Jerry, the owner of Rhythmia, had hired him while he was trying to cure his addictions and work on his team specifically. And Jerry was at the end of his rope. He said he would change, and he just didn't change. He kept being the same person. Then he found Iboga on the internet, went down to Costa Rica, drank Iboga with this Witi shaman from Ghana, and completely woke up and did transform. And what Dr. Jeff said is that you can complete 20 years of therapy in one night.
Yes.
And so did my marriage ceremony, did that take my womanizing and put it behind me? Can I really show up, at a much higher level in my relationship, the way I respect the divine feminine, the sacred woman that's in my life?
Yeah.
Only time will tell, but I do feel a huge shift within myself. And this is the growth that I've also called forth. So this has been my intention. This has been my goal, my dream, my purpose, my legacy that I wanted to create is balance within inside of myself, with peace inside myself, harmony within inside of myself. And of course that translates into our relationships and then into our community. So this is my prayer, my wish, my goal, my intention. And that's where I'm at. And my wife had kind of the same experience. So where we didn't verbalize so much, we came to an energetic agreement, and, tears were shed, and, commitments were also made. But it was on a much different level. It's hard to explain the ineffable, so I hope I'm not.
I completely agree. Are you familiar with Stan Groff?
Yes, he's the breathwork guy, or the psychedelic breathwork guy.
Yeah,
right?
He's the holotropic breathwork. But so since we're speaking about psychedelics, he sat for 4,500 LSD sessions, and he was a psychotherapist. And he was saying, like, it's hard to explain the ineffable, but what he said is that people would go through psychotherapy and they would understand why they have the addiction or why they have the trauma, and they'd be able to explain it all, but they still have the trauma. But when they take LSD, the trauma can be relieved and they have no idea why. And so for those listening, psychedelics, because some people are not open to it, right? It's a powerful healer that I've experienced. And I understand what you're saying. For those that aren't listening, it's just something to look into. So basically what you're saying, what I heard from there is you had a lot of healing in that week. And I heard you talk openly about your anger. And so that's something that you're still dealing with, or did that help with the healing in this past week?
Well, I've been working with my anger for many years. I did 11 Vipassana courses starting in 1999 with S.N. Goenka. And they're, not only with psychedelics, but also with meditation, what they're finding out is it's rewiring, remyelinating your nervous system. It's called neuroplasticity. And so, I started to try and rewire those trauma patterns. So what I realized doing all this psychedelic medicine, this breath work, I do Taoist stomach massage, is that, and it's talked about this in shamanism as well, we come in as spiritual divine beings, and somewhere along the line, we lose that connection, whether we are abused or whether something traumatic happens when we're younger, or our parents yell at us for good, bad, or otherwise we're running into the street or going to burn ourselves, etc. And those being yelled at or shouted at or traumatized or abused, that nervous system reaction goes into our solar plexus, where I believe that is where our soul is, and that is where the split happens, the disconnection.
Okay.
Then we go into our trauma patterns that protect us. We go on high alert, we shut certain functions down of the body, and we want to make sure, what's going to kill us, or, even wired back to our ancestral days, what's to eat, what do we need to kill, or what's going to kill us, right? So our nervous system is designed for that.
Yes.
But there's been a major split. And in this past ceremonies, drinking ayahuasca, I was able to reconnect to that soul connection, which is ultimately also referred to as your inner child, that little that was in there. And I realized when I'm in touch with my solar plexus, when I'm in touch with that inner child, that inner element of myself, that I can find more peace and harmony, because all that little guy in there wants is peace and harmony. And now that I'm older, I realize that I'm creating that. So being able to forgive things that were in my past, also using my solar plexus, if I'm losing my temper, or if my energy's getting heated, hey, tap back in to my solar plexus. Where am I at? What's going on? Can I take a breather? Can I take some time to meditate? Do I need to jump in a cold body of water or go for a walk? That's one thing I realized. I paced about 20 miles in about 3 or 4 hours last Wednesday night when I was in ayahuasca ceremony.
Wow.
And I realized that I love being connected to the earth. I love the wet, cool grass going up my body, releasing the negative, redox potential, the Wi-Fi and electricity that's in our body, basically grounding into the earth.
Right.
I also enjoy moving my body gently. And also when I was having difficulty processing the ayahuasca physically through my liver, through my kidneys, through my intestines, without puking and shitting, just walking was allowing me to integrate whatever was going on. And also, it was also translating to how fast my mind works, and being able to integrate all these thoughts into my body and ground it into the earth. And I realized, whether, the little child in me, whatever it is, but I love barefoot walking. I love it. It's a non-negotiable in my life. I've realized this for years, but being down in the jungle helped me realize it even more, and all the medicine that it brought into my body. I think I remember like movies, of like the crazy people out at Bellevue, hospital, pacing, out in the yard. I felt like that crazy person, but I was not crazy, but I was processing all this information that was coming through me.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that was stuck there. And, I truly believe that we are all knowing self-healing mechanisms.
Yeah.
And so what is the specific medicine that you need in the moment? And of course, I use movement as medicine.
Right.
And if you know anything about the human body has to move. And that's why I like the Qigong. I like walking, because I like gentle movements that allow you to flow and figure out where your own kinks are and just move through them gently. I like all sorts of movements, but I definitely know that simple walking and simple Qigong really helps to move the energy through. And not to mention shaking. Animals shake. And we get traumatized and we hold our breath and we get into faulty breathing patterns, and we hold it into our digestion, our second and third chakras. This locks us up. And that's an old pattern that stays there forever. Unless you're doing some kind of yoga to unwind that, it's going to stay there and keep haunting you as your self-sabotage, behaviors or your physical pain. So again, I'm still processing a lot of this stuff, but I think it's pure magic, pure medicine, pure sacrament.
Yeah, so that's an important thing to bring up, I think, because people watching this, they might have never heard of ayahuasca. So this is leading cutting-edge scientific stuff that's been going on. For example, psilocybin, which is shrooms, has been studied for about 20 years with the Johns Hopkins for relieving trauma, relieving addiction, depression, etc. And there's actually scientists who are pushing for it to be a Schedule 4 drug, because it should be, in my opinion. And so same things with ayahuasca, ibogaine. You have LSD, which I just spoke about, Stan Groff, who's been studying since the 1950s for therapeutic use. So those who are listening, this is not just like Troy's going off and experimenting with some random medicinal plant. This is, in my opinion, this is real medicine. The medicine that we're being fed from the medical community is actually toxic and poison. In a lot of cases. So, so you've also tried 5-MeO-DMT, correct?
Yes.
And so it comes from a frog. It's another psychedelic, also known as Bufo. What was your experience with that in terms of healing and trauma?
Well, I like that medicine because it's very short and sweet. You don't need to go down to the Amazon. You're not going to puke, your gallbladder out and all the anger and trauma from your childhood and be dragged through the mud. You're basically going to be shotgunned out into the ineffable, into the all. And then it's only about 20 minutes and you can process that, coming out of it. And once that's usually a pretty prolific, profound, spiritual experience. And it can do a lot of heavy lifting quickly without having to go down to the jungle. Now, everything's got its purpose.
Right.
And I think the ayahuasca and being dredged through your own hell that you keep yourself in and put yourself in is essential for long-term healing. The 5-MeO-DMT is also very handy. And again, there's tons of scientific documents on this. You've got the MAPS community. You've got Rick Strassman wrote the book DMT, the Spirit Molecule. This is, I think, 20 years of clinical study. And this was done 20 years ago as well. Joe Rogan did the voiceover for the movie. Stanislav Grof as well for the holotropic breathing. Look at all the research on LSD. A lot of it's on YouTube, especially what they did with the military. And then, it was curing alcoholism. And so we can't have that. That's not good for the medical business. So, they outlawed it. But look deeply into this research and look into Paul Stamets' work on PTSD with psilocybin and neuroplasticity, and John Hopkins as well. Mm-hmm. And so these things are very relevant. And they're not just the psychedelic component, as I stated before with ayahuasca. It's a blood purifier. It's going to flush the liver. It's going to dredge the bile ducts. It's going to liquefy the intestines and get parasites and all sorts of other garbage out of the body.
Yeah.
So, so this is not child's play. It's just been obscured because we have a world that does this capitalistic business thing, and it's all about power and control. And you really have to look at the history of the American Medical Association and the Rockefellers, and the history of the Rockefellers and how they tried to control, the monopoly on oil, and, what the Rockefellers did before that. They were actually snake oil salesmen. You want to look into Rockefeller medicine. You can watch that video on YouTube if you can find it, if it's not shadow banned, and really understand this allopathic approach, which is ultimately a business approach. And you can only have state licensed mandated doctors that can cure, treat, or mitigate, diseases. And so, all disease ultimately it starts in the mind. And so to reverse that, I don't recommend poisoning it or burning it. I don't think God made too many mistakes, and we're happy to take it out with surgeries and unnecessary, elements, and shove silicone in women's bodies for boobs, and, all this silliness. And most women don't realize that there's, musculoskeletal excitation and potential tissue rejection from those things, and their autoimmune is probably directly related to their boob job. And
it changes gut bacteria.
I mean, the list goes on, what it does to your fascia. I mean, the fascia is the new gut microbiome, right? Everything's connected. The nose bone's connected to the knee bone. And so you can't separate anything. So, I mean, it's all connected. And when you take these elements in of nature, LSD is synthetic, and there's synthetic DMT. But when you take in something like ayahuasca, you're taking the sum total recorded history of the plant and mineral kingdom of planet Earth. You're taking that information into the body. It awakens a primal aspect about yourself.
Right.
And you can wake up to your own divinity. You can wake up to a higher order, a higher vibration, lift the veils of just the physical realm in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, on the psychedelic front, this is what I love talking to people about, because this is what this whole Healing Master Summit's about. It's talking about our disconnection from nature. And what I've heard you say a lot about is your connection with nature, and basically how we have nature at our beck and call to actually help us heal. And so what do you use? I know you use barefoot walking. Did you hear me? It cut out there, I think, for a second. So barefoot walking, which is grounding, which is one of the lowest hanging fruits that anybody listening to this can do right now. So we have plant medicine. We got just gentle movement, qigong. Are there any other aspects in nature that we can take and use as a tool for healing?
Yes. So that would be natural water, the best, purest water you can get. That would be natural, organic food, the best, purest food that you can get. Stop paying to poison yourself with herbicide and pesticide-laden foods with artificial coloring and fake sugar, fake fat, fake
everything.
Fake everything. Just cut that nonsense out. Align yourself with the circadian rhythms, the natural rhythms of the celestial realm. The hormones are pegged to the celestial realm. So cortisol rises when the sun rises, and melatonin rises when the moon rises. And you want to harmonize yourself to those natural rhythms, natural movement rhythms. That's why walking is my number one exercise that I prescribe to people.
Yeah.
So just, get back to it in all its facets, reclaim your divinity, reclaim your gut microbiome. We've got brain material, ganglia, that goes through the vagus nerve, through the heart, down into the intestines. And so that's your innate intelligence, your primal instincts,
right.
Your intuition. So clean up your gut, harmonize with the energy. And it's been said we carry our soil inside of our gut. And so making your gut microbiome, clean, clear, and strong. Aligning yourself with a dream and a purpose. You're given certain gifts on this planet. What is that? What do you love to do? What's easy for you? What's your genius?
Right.
What's a non-negotiable? That's your gift, your legacy. You want to carry that forth. You want to be clear as a roadmap, because we don't need just automatons. Nature loves novelty. We want individuals giving their unique gifts that they have. We all have them. And so, aligning yourself with that, getting plenty of sunlight. If you can't get barefoot in the grass, hug a tree, hang on a hanging bar, get your brachial plexus open and your arms were sitting too much. Open up your hip flexors,
yep.
Stretch, do some yoga, basically unfuck yourself, right? The world's the technocratic world has kind of got us into our heads.
Yes.
And so, it's time to get back into our bodies. Mind is an embodied process. We are the sum total of our mind. And so look in the mirror, take off your clothes, literally and figuratively naked. And, who am I and who do I want to be? Right. And then using the laws of alchemy, speak into existence that which you wish to see, that which you love. Be honest with yourself, with where you're at, right? And through that tension creates the wisdom. That's the alchemical triangle: love, truth, and wisdom.
Right.
So, mapping this stuff out and then reclaiming, your divinity, basically becoming one with the all and giving your gifts and flowing with the natural flow of life. This is my working philosophy. I'm working on this stuff myself.
Yeah. Acceptance, a lot of acceptance, right?
It's a martial art. Life is a martial art.
Yeah.
you're flowing, you're getting better, you're getting hit, you're getting knocked down, you're popping back up, you're feeling stronger.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so also one thing that I know you do, which you didn't mention, which is part of nature. So it's been a part of spiritual process. It's part of nature. Animals do it when they're sick, which is fasting. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So you're a big faster. You've been doing that for decades, right?
Yeah, I've been doing that for 30 years. So, we're an overconsumptive society. We're trashing the planet. We're just consuming, unconsciously
You're right.
stuff we don't need.
Yeah.
And so, I like to do fasting on all realms. I don't like to buy stuff that's going to clog my house. Just think about that. If I just continuously bought trinkets and left them at my house to collect dust and all that stuff, it's just piles and piles of stuff. I have children, right? They want the toys. It's so cute. And they're so cute when they like the toys. But then the novelty wears up and it's a pile of plastic in the house. And I realized a long time ago, I don't need to buy stuff that they're not going to like and love, 2 days down the road.
Yep.
So just stop consuming so much stuff. Same thing can be with food. We have an obesity epidemic right now. We have a diabetes epidemic. We have a cancer epidemic. Stop feeding the dragon. Stop feeding yourself crap. And so take the time to fast. Do a mental fast. Do a social media fast. Fasting, the definition of fasting is to abstain from any one thing.
Yeah.
So, and there's many approaches to fasting. I do calorie restricted fasting. I do juice fasting. I do dry fasting, which is zero anything, no shower, no brushing teeth.
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's powerful medicine.
Yeah.
So there's many ways to skin a cat when it comes to fasting. And so, play with that. Calorie restriction, I think, is the best way, or juice fasting, because it gives you the nutrients, but not the calories. So then the body goes into autophagy while it has the nutrients to repair itself. And it's also scavenging all the dead cells and things that aren't working. It makes the body more efficient. And so, fasting was traditionally a spiritual endeavor, but we've simply lost our way. And so one of the ways to reconnect back to your divinity, back to the deepest parts of yourself, is to pull out any external inputs.
It's true. Definitely. So what do you, like when you do fasting now, what's your process and protocol? Do you do specifically what you just talk about? Or are you on a certain path of fasting? Because I know 20 years ago versus now, like people have changed how they fast, and then they also do cleanses after the fasting just to make sure that they get all the gunk out, kind of like doing a colonic while you're in rhythmia, right? Because you're kind of like cleansing all the gunk out. So do you have a method for how you go about doing it?
Yes, I do. So I've been doing it for many years. I started out with a 10-day juice cleanse. I work with an organic wheatgrass company that provides everything for you. It's the only anabolic cleanse I know of on the market.
Oh, wow.
And so because most cleanses, they don't have the protein. So you start catabolizing your own lean muscle mass. And you don't want to do that, especially the older you get. When you're younger, it's okay. But we have pre-digested vegan amino acids, super clean protein, maintains your lean muscle mass, helps you build muscle while you're on it as well. So the body can go into ketosis. And so and start going after the fat soluble toxins. So that's what I recommend for everyone wanting to get started. Then it really just depends on, where you're at. I've been experimenting for so many years. Everything I'm doing is just intuitive. If I go through an emotional upset or a real curveball in business, boom, I will shut down all external inputs. And that's it. I'm going to figure out my stuff for myself. And when you don't have those external inputs, you have to align with yourself, get very clear with yourself so you can see what's going on clearly without interference. Breakups, emotional upsets, over the years, I learned how to do that. And now I've got so much going on in my life. I live basically, I've been doing some form of intermittent fasting in the morning for 30 years. So usually waking up with juice, pre-digested nutrition, juice and superfoods, herbs. I have like an herbal salad I'll take some nettles, I'll take some cat's claw, I'll take some maca, I'll take, you know, I roll up on my herb bar every morning and I take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And there's unique nutrients, there's unique vitamins and minerals in there that aren't in the regular food supply. And there's also biophotonic light and energetics that aren't in celery and lettuce and this, that, and the other thing. And so these energetics help me to keep my vibration high living in this dense city of Los Angeles.
I bet.
And so I've been doing that for many years. There's many approaches to it. And I know that Rhonda Patrick, for example, says that anything goes through the liver, you know, that's not true fasting. So I use the term fasting in the realm of you can abstain from any one thing. So look, people can go on a 21-day fast where they, you know, first eliminate, you know, all dairy. Then they eliminate all, you know, processed meats. Then they eliminate, you know, all artificial coloring. So whatever order you go in, it's a process of elimination. You know, but just staying on food. How about that? Let's, you know, above ground vegetables and high quality organic grass-fed proteins. How about that? How about you just do that for 21 days and, you know, call me in the morning, see how that works out. I guarantee your life will change. You know, that's your most simplest fast. You want to go as hardcore as a dry fast? That means just no external inputs, no water or anything. That'll choke out all your candida, your fungus, your parasites. It'll make those critters, and we're in symbiotic relationship with fungus, parasites, microbes, etc. And so it's best to make your constitution strong so you're not a host environment for the Mother Nature's garbage cleaners. So dry fasting's on one end of the spectrum, and then just eliminating garbage is on the other end of the spectrum. And then you can get into juice fasting, you can get into water fasting, master cleanse. Again, some of these more extreme cleanses, you're going to want to be supervised and, you know, do lots of research, and you're not going to want to be working, training for a marathon. You know, clients call me all the time. They want to keep their stressful lifestyle, but they want to, you know, cleanse and detoxify. Well, the body's going to be much more efficient when it's rested, when it's being able to have the energy to go through the detox process. And ultimately, now where I'm at right now is I live a cleanse and detox lifestyle. I have at least one deep, dark green drink a day with cracked chlorella and many herbs to clean out the liver, the blood. You know, your red blood cells replicate every 120 days, and your organs rebuild every 6 to 9 months, depending on what you're feeding it. So are you feeding it natural food? Do you want, you know, a mutated liver, or do you want a clean, fresh, as good as you can get liver? That's going to clean your blood and make your skin look good and make you look youthful instead of the Botox and the plastic surgery, which doesn't work, FYI. And it fucks with your psychology too. Oh,
I bet. I can imagine. So that was one of my questions. I think you just answered. When you do the juicing fast, are you just doing light movement, not like any intense workout during that 10-day?
It really depends on how much energy I have. I've been known to do deadlifts on a day 6 of a 10-day fast because I have the energy, but I'm honest with myself. And you might have the energy in the morning, but then you've got business meetings, and then you got the kids in the afternoon. You'll be wiped out. So you got to be honest with yourself while you're on a cleanse. So what I tell my clients is rest, rest, and more rest. Make sure you're pooping and hydrate, right? Most of your headache solutions on a detox can be rectified with hydrating with high quality water, resting, sleeping, getting extra rest. You know, people have thyroid issues. You know, what they need is 3 months in bed, basically, to heal their own hormones or their thyroid. The thyroid regulates metabolism. If the body's stressed out and worn out, you're going to gain weight, so you slow down. If you don't listen to that, the body will put you in the hospital. Well, let's just prop you up with hormone replacement drugs. Well, that may be short-lived, and that may not be in your best interest for your long-term survival. So you might want to look at that.
Yeah. So you talk about something that I've been a proponent of for a long time, which is living a detox lifestyle. And when I promote this to my clients, it's kind of like this should be the norm. It has to be the norm almost because of our lifestyle. We're exposed to all these toxins. The toxins keep increasing. And so people listening to this, it was what you're talking about, like fasting a detox lifestyle. Like how would you define a detox lifestyle?
Well, probably no different than taking a shower if you're living in a coal mine. So how much more are you going to pay attention to being clean and using a bar of soap and making sure you get into your pores a little bit more? And, hey, I'm surrounded by toxicity, and, my brother's got cancer and my father's got cancer. And okay, let me pay a little bit more attention to cleaning this soot out of my tissues, right? Okay, so take that just into the modern world. I live in Los Angeles. We've got plenty of smog here.
Yeah.
We've got, you're breathing in nickel, cadmium, lead. All right, what materials are known detoxifiers and chelators of those heavy metals? Well,
Yeah.
cracked chlorella is pretty good. All right, cracked chlorella. All right, you got to get a good source, because cracked chlorella will take those heavy metals out of the soil. So, making sure that you're optimized where you're actually getting these nutrients from.
Yeah.
Then, other greens like wheatgrass has superoxide dismutase. It allows the cells to replicate properly. We're being bombarded with electromagnetic radiation and pollution from the cell phone. So you want to make sure that your cells are fortified with something like carbonyl, which takes the estrogen mimickers and cleans them out of the receptor sites. And so that's pretty important if you want hormone balance, right? Because
so what did you say? L-carbinol?
Indole carbonyl 3.
Oh, indole carbinol. Okay, gotcha.
So, I mean, these are just chemical constituents of natural plant medicine, especially greens, which greens, through the use of photosynthesis, convert radiation into energy. And then the animals eat that, and then the herbivores, are eaten by the carnivores, and everybody dies and are eaten by the microbes. And this is the closed organic cycle. So you want to take these greens into the body to fortify the blood, to rebuild your cells. And so so nutrition, is at the cornerstone of all of that, for sure. I think I got a little sideways.
Yeah, no, that was awesome, because really, that in a nutshell, everything we've talked about is kind of a detox lifestyle, like good water, good food. Greens are big. Now we're almost at an hour, and I want to get to also just healing, because you're dealing with men a lot these days, right? You got the man tribe, and we've been seeing a change maybe in society as to what a man is, and basically, in my opinion, it's a little bit of an assault on men, because of, you're talking about like estrogen blockers. Well, we got a ton of estrogen coming in through these chemicals. So what's this man tribe about, and what's your philosophy on this?
Well, there's a lot of dysfunction that's happening in our society. Without me going, let me get into that in a moment. But more importantly, my mission is to raise human consciousness and change all systems. My vision is clean air, water, soil, equitable systems for all mankind in my lifetime. So we've got work to do. I've got major solutions: the gift economy, self-care education, permaculture, and ushering in free energy. Those will alleviate most of humanity's problems, and I've got ways of ushering those in. In the meantime, as above, so below is the natural law of correspondence. How do we expect the world to be healthy if we are not healthy ourselves? We are in symbiotic relationship with the earth. If the earth is having trouble with us living on top of it, it's going to achoo us with an earthquake or some fires, or a couple of big major catastrophic events like volcanoes, whatever. That's inevitable. So we have to live in alignment with nature as best as possible. Live in harmony, in balance with nature, understanding that we are nature. And the best place to start is not by voting for some politician.
Right.
It's called voting with your dollars on your own bloodstream. Clean up your own bloodstream. Clean up your own mind, your own neurochemistry, your own biochemistry, physiology, psychology. Really get down with your bad self. Who are you, and how are you showing up in the world? What's your responsibility to take this on? And we need strong, clear human beings. So what we provide with the Man Tribe is brotherhood, knowledge, and support. We focus on mindset, movement, and nutrition, making strong individuals, dogma-free, ideological freedom. We're not here to impress ideas and philosophies on people more than just aligning yourself with nature. So it's becoming in alignment with nature. My wife popped on here for some reason. Yuri, you can log off, please. I gave her the link so I could find it.
Hi, Yuri.
I gave her the link so I could find it on my laptop here. So what we provide for men is basic fundamental knowledge. Get some movement into the body. We provide ice baths because the ice baths are the great equalizer of the sum total of all of our thoughts. We can have whatever fantasies we want rolling in around our body, or think we're spiritually evolved or developed or whatever, whoever we think we are. We think we've forgiven our parents or this, that, or the other thing, but you jump in the ice bath and we're going to see what's relevant, because the ice bath is merciless. And if you've got your thoughts that are just racing, you're not harming, and you're going to get very clear with that. If you're not balanced in your gut, if you've got hip pain and back pain and all these, if you're not breathing properly, you're going to get really clear with that quickly. And it's a self-healing mechanism, right? It's a direct feedback loop. Then we add some breath work, which helps to alleviate anxiety and depression. We throw in some Kung Fu or Qigong, depending on which teacher that we have. Really basic movements that we can show men how to just, mobilize their body and have some discipline in there.
Yeah.
The most important work that we have is sharing around the fire. Sharing, maybe we've been traumatized. Maybe we were the perpetrator of the trauma. Nothing is new under the sun, yet we often bear this cross. We carry this burden with us. Things that worked when we were children, maybe we were traumatized. We learned how to fight or protect ourselves or hide or be the funny man. That worked for us in our childhood, maybe in our teenage years, making money in our 20s and 30s, but that's not feeding our soul in our 40s or 50s. So we provide an atmosphere for men to get clear with themselves and other brothers to mirror back where they're at. This is not a boot camp that we're running. We have too much yanged out, beating the chest philosophy. Not that we don't beat our chest, we might, but the fact of the matter, it's not, we're not here to boot camp that shit out of people.
Right.
We're here to provide support, holistic, fundamental healing elements. We bring a little bit of plant medicine from the Amazon in there, nothing psychoactive, but yet powerful. And then if we have workshops and retreats, we bring in sweat lodge facilitators and other indigenous healing methodologies and other psychologists to teach Jungian hero's journey, shadow work. It really just depends on how much time and what the focus is. In our retreats, we go out into nature, off-grid, get them into hot and cold waters. We sit around the fire, sharing the stuff, our burden that we're carrying around the fire, or connecting with another human being that either raped a woman or was raped or sexually abused, or somebody tried to trick them into pregnancy and or whatever tricks we all play on ourselves. We get to analyze that and let that go, and then show up in the present moment, because that is truly all we have, is emergent present moment reality. And so really helping men to get back to that, back to nature, back to the heart.
Awesome, man. I love it. That's what we need more of, because there's a lot of lost souls out there, a lot of guys who's coming up without fathers nowadays, and I'm sure you're seeing that. So we're about to sign off here, and I want to just have
let me just say one other thing.
Yeah.
I will like to add, most people don't realize, and again, I'm not into blaming or complaining, but it's good that we recognize where we're at and how ideas get propagated. Gloria Steinem worked with the CIA. They wanted both parents in the family to pay taxes. And so my mother didn't start working till 1979. And, 1973 was all the burn your bra thing. My question to your viewers out there is, who are the natural nurturers of the family, of the children? Who traditionally fed the children? What has happened to the food supply in the United States of America? What are our results if you look at the father of modern day medicine, who stated, Hippocrates in the 3rd century BC, "Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food." So who's watching the food supply right now? 70% of the American people are obese or overweight. Autism's through the roof. There's all sorts of dysfunction.
Yep.
So what happened? The women entered the workforce, and I'm all for manifest destiny and whatever people want to create with the gifts that they have, but let's get back to basics.
Right.
Women are the natural biochemical nurturers of the children, of the family. This is a key role. Men are the natural protectors. Now, the roles have gotten mixed up, and we can all play and dance any way we can. I played Mr. Mom for years, and I was good at it, but I paled in comparison to what my wife could do.
Yes.
Right? Paled, and it wore me down. It broke me hormonally.
Yep.
And focused on my emphasis and legacy. That man needs purpose. And so I was lost. We got lost in our little roles. And it didn't seem to have much application. So let's look, who was Gloria Steinem working with the CIA? What's feminine? What are you programmed to believe? We're all about empowerment. My understanding of the divine sacred feminine and sacred masculine is, the divinity that's in us is in the optimization and the balance of both the masculine and feminine divine energies within inside of ourselves. And so in the world today, I have seen, and it's been very challenging dating women and in the last 30 years or so, because there's so much masculinity, and I'm already masculine. I desire a more feminine, more open woman. It's very hard to find in our society. And my question to all the women out there is, how hard is that on your body, trying to maintain that hormonal stance of putting on your man pants and going out into the workplace and doing things that are antithetical to your own soul's desire? So again, don't peg me as the bad guy for pointing out, that feminism may have been a little misguided. And so what is our natural inclination? Can we get back to nature in all its facets? And again, I'm a great Mr. Mom, but I'm better at really utilizing my mind and going out and fulfilling my legacy, fulfilling my purpose. I'm best at doing that and giving my gifts.
Awesome, man. I was just going to ask you, is there any last thing that you want to say? And that's beautiful, because I agree with it 100%. And it's back to nature. I actually, the subtitle of my book is Bring the Body Back to Nature. So this is a beautiful, awesome interview, and a lot of knowledge just got pumped into you guys. And I think you guys even got a special treatment because you're just coming off of a week of massive revelations and probably just downloaded a ton of info that you spewed it forth here. So this has been awesome. Before we sign off, you got the Man Tribe, you got the Certified Health Nut on Instagram. That's where most of your following is, right? Is that correct? And YouTube?
YouTube, Instagram. I'm moving over to TikTok now. I never got into Snapchat. So, and ultimately I've got my online courses. I have my breathwork course. I have my stress management course, which all my courses have the sum total of my teachings. And then I have the book Ripped at 50, A Journey to Self-Love, being completed right now. It'll be out by the end of the year.
Awesome.
And I'll be traveling and touring for that. We have the Man Tribe workshop. We have fire circles every Friday night in Venice Beach. I have Qigong in the park a few times every month here in Venice Beach, Santa Monica. So holler at your boy if you're in the area. And it's a good time to be alive.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure, Troy, and the Certified Health Nut. Thank you for joining us on the Healing Mastery Summit, and have a great day.